Let's welcome to the live stream. Hi, Clay.
Hello.
Clay Buck, what's happening, man? How are you today?
Is it hour 4? Are you on hour 4?
We're starting. You are the beginning of hour 4.
So I tuned in. I've had like a whole day as I've had you all on talking in the background. You help me feed the dogs and get breakfast and all the things. And I will just borrow the phrase, because we're going to go 80s references already, Justin. I'll just borrow the phrase from Steel Magnolias. I don't know how you're doing on the inside, but your hair looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Kate, as much as you had a hard time of keeping Tim and I on track, like now this is VH1 is about to explode into this conversation because of all of the the 80s and pop culture references that that Clay and I may introduce over the next segment.
Yeah, sounds like I have my work cut out for me, and I'll try to keep up with the 80s references as best I can. But one of the areas we were talking about while we were waiting for you to join us was be you. It's this beacon about being yourself and being authentic. What do us as nonprofits get right about authenticity? And also on the flip side, like, what do we get wrong?
Yeah, I love this question. I love this focus. I am here to champion it. And I've been thinking a lot about it since you all came forward and brought me into this discussion. What does it mean? And I really do think one of the evolutions over the last few years that we have seen is an evolution into more authenticity, more realism in fundraising. I'm a fundraiser who was trained, who learned, right? It's the button up 3-piece navy suit, white shirt, rep tie, that is how you fundraise. That is what you position for it. And the fact that we're sitting here in logoed merchandise and a ratty t-shirt under a dress shirt, right, is to me a complete change that I've seen throughout my career. But as I said to Tim Lockheed a few months ago, there's a fine line between authenticity and laziness. So, right, what does it really mean to be authentic? And in some ways, while I hate to dwell on the negative, it's a little easier to answer what we get wrong. And I think what we get wrong about authenticity is that it's something that can be performed, that it's something that we can set a metric to, that we can somehow, forgive me, brand authenticity. And true authenticity really has to come from, I believe, mission. What are we doing, right? That's what our communities want to hear. That's what our donors want to hear. That's the promise that we're making, is that we are dealing with real issues that need real solutions. And when we over sanitize it, when we over brand it, and I understand, I'm not here to bash on brand, right? But when we over brand it and try to fit it into some sort of formulaic thing that I can, plug this in and do authenticity, that's when we miss the mark.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And
over sanitize and over control. And look, this is not to say that everything should be an active improv. That's not the
correct
point. I think about one of our leaders at RKD, Billy Vaudry, leads our creative services team, and Billy would talk about that. The root of the offer in connecting with someone is when you can combine the problem that you're solving and how the person that you're talking to is the one that can solve that problem. And simply put, you don't have to over sanitize that. The more sanitization, the more control, the less clear at times the opportunity comes to truly connect with a potential believer, as Becky called them.
Yes, absolutely. I think in a lot of ways, some of the lessons that we learned through the pandemic about fundraising, about nonprofit work, and let's be direct and clear about social justice and inclusion and diversity in the work that we do. And Justin, I'm going to pick on what you said in a very fine-tuned point, which is I'm right. Donor as hero, like the donor can solve the problem. I think what authenticity is demanding of us, I think what the market is demanding of us, I think what is correct that we missed in histories of fundraising is it's not the donor solving the problem. It's the donor joining with and being a part of, because this work is really I hate this analogy, better word, but like it's a three-legged stool. There's the beneficiary, there's the people in the community we serve, there's the non-profit with the mission and the work, and there's the donor who is becoming a part of it by helping funding it. All of these things are cycling through at an equal level and an equal balance. Our job, our work as fundraisers, as marketers, as communicators is how do we bring that donor into being an ongoing part of that solution, that we're working at this together. This isn't a transactional thing. This is an invitation into being part of hard, detailed, ongoing work. And to me, that's where some authenticity has to come forward more of, look, this is hard work. And we here at the nonprofit, we are experts in this. Our program people, this is what they do. Our beneficiaries, the people that we serve, need the work, and they're part of being the solution as well, because the situation that they're facing is no fault of their own. It is not a character flaw. This is a systemic issue that we are working on together. And donor, we're asking you to become a part of it, so that. Well, so back in 2014, Claire Axelrad called this managing the vortex, right? We just keep managing this vortex of communications coming in and coming out and things evolving and changing, right? It's where I go to your comment about campaigns. Like, yes, but really the work is so ongoing and adaptive and energized that so much of what we do and where so much of our frustration comes is how do we balance all of this, right?
So when you get wound up, not just you, but you listen to any nonprofit leader talk about their cause and their mission, and man, that it just spills out. Purpose spills out. Authenticity tends to spill out. What's the chasm to us being authentic in fundraising? Like, what's the gap that we have not been able to close to take that same passion and put it into place? Why do you believe that we over sanitize some of our fundraising efforts?
I think the fear is in this idea that if we tell the truth, that we will alienate people, that it won't be attractive to people, that that we have to professionalize it, right? Because nonprofits should operate like a business. Well, nonprofit is a business classification, so yes, nonprofits should operate like a business, like a nonprofit business. But I think we try to sanitize that and make it, again, the dress up suit, put the good view on everything. We don't want to tell people the overhead myth, right? We don't want to tell people that the thing standing between us and really solving a problem in our community is the copy machine doesn't work. I've got a team of program staff that are trying to print curriculum for students in a learning environment, and they have spent 2 days fighting with the copy machine because it's old, it's broken, it doesn't, and that's just one example of. But no, we're not going to tell people that. We're gonna put together a glossy program that talks about the vast number of people that we serve and the great things that we do. And when, for many organizations, the reality of what we do is so hindered by dumb things. I worked with one organization that no matter what they did, they had bugs in the office. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but the office environment where the team worked and where programs were delivered was not safe, was not hygienic, it was not clean. And that affected everything. So, you know what? Like hiring a fumigator is mission.
Yeah. Yes. You know, I mean, I think about like we have I think she's an expert in connecting what's happening in someone's world to a fundraising offer. Her name's Jen Thompson, and she is a wizard. And so, you know, it's things like, you know, for one of the largest food banks in the United States, when a stove breaks, like what better opportunity to say, this is what's happening, or there's a winter storm, this is what's happening, and this is what it means for us in terms of delivering our mission. And so it creates opportunities to connect with people, right? And so that they can get a real-time view. I love the work of you know, platforms like Memory Fox and ThankView and ViewSpark, and the examples that I see of, you know, the executive director of any sort of organization walking through, holding the iPhone, doing the first person perspective of a selfie. And by the way, it doesn't have to be even looking at the camera, and just explaining what's going on and why we're thankful for someone's support. That to me is a version of authenticity that really tracks.
Absolutely. Of course. And maybe authenticity for your organization and for you is more edited, more formal, right? Exactly. But it's okay. So there was a study back in 2000, authenticity inventory, psychologists Kernis and Goldman, and the 4 pillars of authenticity that they listed through that: self-awareness, unbiased processing, behavior congruent with values, and relational orientation, meaning close relationships that are built on openness and honesty. Those pillars can be implemented in so many different ways. And maybe your openness and honesty is, you know what, we want to look sharp here. We want to look sharp because we want to be a little more edited. We want to be a little more formal, but that's who we are. That is who we are in the image that we're pushing forward. That is our brand. That is what people relate to. And then for others, it is that raw iPhone going, you know, live on LinkedIn or whatever, right? And just seeing the nuts and the bolts and the back end. And years in performing arts, the thing that motivated donors the most, the backstage tours. Donors loved, and I would have donors that would come on the backstage tour every single year. I'm like, you have seen all the ropes in the dressing like 100 times, and they're like, yeah, I know, but it's something that I get to do, that I can see the, you know, the back end, right? So
yeah, but that's
transferable attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah,
throw open the curtain, right?
Yes. Oh, I love that.
You know, we've talked about it, kind of authenticity at like the organizational level, right? But I do kind of want to take a quick moment to narrow in on like the audience.
Mhm.
And so how does authenticity, you know,
Authentication. That's authentic
Power 4,
communication.
Kate. You're doing great.
Power 4. My words are just all over the place. How does authenticity look different for like a major donor audience versus the mass market audience?
Oh, you don't want to ask me that question. I'm the wrong guy to ask that question. And because I am deeply, deeply concerned about the declining number of households giving, which in my mind it's not that, it's how we measure it. But we are trending, I believe, and what I see trending back is this intense focus on high net worth, right, major donor, wealthy individuals. The reality is the value set is the same in genuine fundraising, right? It's just that sometimes a lot of those high level, high dollar gifts come with strings because of how we're approaching it, because of how we're looking at it. But underneath it all, let me say it this way: every gift is a major gift to that donor.
Yeah.
So the values and the drive behind it are the same, in that really good transformational fundraising, bringing humans into this vortex, and the work that we do really goes to values. The transactional relationships that we see are when we're giving, right, when it's based on what do I get and what about all of that kind of stuff. But underneath it all, humans are making all of the generosity decisions, and whether it's $50 or $50 million, underneath it is a human who cares.
Yeah.
Right. So how we authentically present and tell the story has to get to the values underneath it, which means authenticity for the fundraiser, to me, has to be driven by values, our personal set of values, and what we believe in, how that is attached to the mission. Because we all know this, you meet someone who is deeply passionate about something, there's nothing they can't get somebody to participate in, right? When it's so clear that you believe so strongly in this and that it's tied to who you are, that it just comes forward. There's a magic to it that is hard to create in a formula, but when it's real, boy, we know it.
God, that's so well said, Clay. And it even harkens back to, Kate, the conversation that we started the day with Chris Pritchard saying, the opportunity in front of us is, when you think about large scale, whether or not you're mailing 100 pieces of mail or emailing 100 people, or if it's 1 million people, it's better understanding the context for whom those individuals are, so that you can better connect with them. Like that is a part of the solve for quitting bad fundraising, is to shift into this mindset of understanding people and better communicate and connect with those people.
And just final thought, I know we're running at time. We talk a lot about storytelling to donors and communities. We don't talk enough about the stories they tell us. And the stories they are telling us is captured in data. What they choose to share with us, how they choose to interact with us, the fact that they choose not to give again. All of those are stories that we need to be better at listening to.
That's great stuff, Clay. Thank you for spending part of your time with us today.
Oh, thank you.
It's good to see you, friend.
Likewise.
We'll talk to you again soon.